Hi and welcome to Real Talk Fitness with AMPT. Today's episode is a real special one because I'm sitting down with someone who has an incredibly inspiring story. Kylie is a mum of 5 and who has stepped on stage for the first time in 2024, which is already an achievement in itself. But what I love more is how her journey just hasn't stopped there. She's now stepping into coaching and helping lift others up along the way. So this episode, as we go through just hearing her story, I think it's a lot about courage and starting before you feel ready and what happens when you just decide to believe in yourself. So thanks for joining us today, Kylie. I really appreciate it.
No, thank you. Thank you for having me.
No, that's okay. So I guess, first of all, where did this all start?
As in my journey to fitness?
Journey with fitness.
I've always been like a gym girly, but never really like where I am today. I feel like it's because I wasn't stuck, but I wanted some guidance and I needed a coach, to be honest. So that was 3 years ago. So I just put it on Anytime Fitness story. I was after a coach. Someone inboxed your number and that's how it all started. So you were the one that I went with. And the rest is history, I suppose.
So I guess tell me a little bit about your past, because you are a mum of 5, so being in and out of the gym, how did it all fit together? Like, how old is your youngest and your oldest, and how has all that fit in? Because a lot of people, I feel, that would look at where you're at now, and again, I feel like I've spoken to you about this a few times, is that, looking at you and going, fuck, like you've had 5 kids, like it's super inspiring to many out there that think, oh, I'll never get to where I want to get. Like, this is just me now. So how old's your oldest? How young's your youngest? And how did fitness sort of slot in between all of that?
So my eldest, Amber, she's 29, and my youngest is Nate, and he is 12. I was always just a fairly active person, never really in the gym in the younger days. Obviously, I was 17 when I had Amber, and I was 33 when I had Nate, so he was my last baby. I kind of like started hitting the gym after Nate when I returned to work, and just went a couple of days a week, just enough just to get my fix. I don't really sit still. So just to keep active, I was just doing 3 to 4 days a week. Just cardio. I loved cardio. I was on cardio overload.
It's crazy. And you would never like looking at you now and the physique that you have, you would never, think that cardio is your jam. But I guess, obviously having raised 5 kids, cardio is a really good way. And I guess now that you're becoming a coach yourself, like cardio is a really good way for a lot of people to channel themselves and be able to tune out and those sorts of things, and get those endorphins running. So
Yes.
what was the moment that you decided that you wanted to compete in the fitness model industry?
I guess that would have come like a couple of months, maybe 2 or 3 months after working with you and doing the programs and stuff. And I started to notice a really significant change, not only in myself, but in my physique. And I'm just watching some reels on Instagram and just thought, I think I want to try this out. It was just a thought. Then I remember going to you and saying to you, what are your thoughts about me stepping on stage as a sports model to start off with? Because that's definitely not heels. It's just the joggers. And I thought, I don't know if you think this is crazy or, should we do this? And you're like, yep, let's just go. Let's just see where we end up.
Yeah, 100%. Just dive in and see. And I guess for a lot of people that are listening, like the sports model, the bodybuilding, the fitness, all of that sort of stuff, obviously required a lot of dedication in regards to food. And obviously your youngest being 12, like how did you find your mindset in those early stages? Like, again, this is sort of building around like a lot of people that were listening to this are probably thinking like, oh wow, I would never be able to be that dedicated, or like that's crazy. And I feel like, having you on the podcast help explain that, because obviously you weren't always that strict and it wasn't always that hard, and it does get easier. So I guess take me through those mindset stuff that you went through in those early stages with your food. Like, what's your relationship been like with food?
Oh, yeah, it hasn't been a great one, that's for sure. But that quickly changed due to comp and comp prep. I had to learn to be very disciplined, because I knew what the end outcome was going to be, which was obviously stepping on stage and absolutely presenting my best package. So yeah, the whole food side of it, I just had to really dial in and shut everything out. I didn't really shut the family out or the kids out, but I just feel like, I don't know, I just needed that extra support.
Yeah.
So I did have some good support to start off with in the beginning. And then it just gets easier and easier, and you get so used to it that it just becomes second nature, once you get past all the hurdles of, being hungry and being tired and being cranky and,
Yeah.
obviously on top of work, it's just the extra workload and stuff like that. But yeah.
Yeah, which I feel like it's interesting. I feel like a lot of people can benefit from that, because I know it's been so many years since I competed, and I feel like those mental hurdles is where a lot of people, I feel like, not someone that's going to be dieting for stage as such, but like even dieting to, or changing your food habits to become a better and healthier version of you, they go through the same, hunger, the food noise, and things like that. And I guess, what advice would you give to people that are listening? Like, I know that you said that it does get easier, and 100% we can see that now being on the other side. But when you're in the trenches, what would you say to anybody that's listening, like when they're tired, when they're cranky, when they're, the food noise, the other people are celebrating and eating, and they're saying no? Like, what advice got you through? Like, how did you get through that?
That's a really good question. I learned to block it out and just take a step back and think about, it was always thinking about the end result, always thinking about what I was going to achieve at the end of that. So for me, I did a lot of blocking out. I did a lot of, um, I don't know, just took a step back and just took a deep breath and found something else to do. I was a very active person. So if I was at work and I was hungry, I would just move on to the next task. If I was at home, I would just quickly go out for a walk, go for a lay
Yeah.
down and try and have a nap. I feel
Yeah.
like those three key things were very crucial in the beginning.
Yeah,
Absolutely.
keeping yourself busy. And I guess when you feel like, I get like, what I got from that is that when you feel like you're going to, slip up or whatever, remember what the end result's going to be.
Exactly. Yeah.
Yeah.
For me, it was always the end goal. Always the end goal.
Yeah, yeah, no, which is, I feel like that's something that a lot of people could benefit from hearing, is that, yes, it's not easy. And, they might look at you now and be like, fuck, like I wish I could do that, which with the right mindset, anybody can do it. And I feel like, when I say that to others, they look at me funny, and it's like, which is why I want to bring, more women like you onto the podcast, so people can hear, like, it wasn't always easy for you either.
No, definitely
Um,
not.
and did you ever doubt yourself or question whether you could actually do it? Like during that early stages where you're like, this is what I want to do. What do you think? And I was like, well, let's just go for it. What's the worst that can happen? Did you ever doubt yourself?
As to step on stage and
Yeah.
compete. Oh, absolutely. Yeah. I feel like, at least like 6 to 8 weeks out of stepping on stage for the first time, I actually thought about not doing it and just throwing in the whole thing altogether. But I did it, and we came second, and I feel like that just sparked a huge fire in me. Um, I remember going to you and saying, "Okay, let's do heels now," and I just thought, this is so crazy. I can't walk in heels. I'm not a heel girl, but yeah, I want to go back on stage and I want to try the heel run.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
yeah,
So that
definitely.
moment that you felt like you were going to throw everything in, what kept you going? Because I feel like that's so crucial in so many people's journey. Like, obviously to then step on stage and then to come second, it was like that reassurance that I'm so fucking glad that I didn't give up. What
Exactly.
kept you what kept you going at that 6 to 8 week mark where you were like, I don't think I can do this, I'm doubting myself? What pushed you through?
Because I'd seen how far I had actually come, both mentally and physically, and I felt like that just changed everything. It went from 0 to 100 real quick, and I just stood back and looked at all the photos that I had taken in within that 4 month gap and thought, no, I can't. I've got to keep going. I need to do this. If not for me, then for the kids, or just I had to
Yeah.
do it. I knew I couldn't give up. There was no way. Even though the thought was there, it
Yeah.
was definitely there. I do remember it being there.
Yeah,
Um,
no, I feel like that is in itself is so, because people often forget, right? Like they are always looking at the end goal, and that's something that we spoke about earlier in the podcast. Is like that is also what helps get you through. But I feel like what you just said then kind of just makes sense as well. Is that when there is that sense of doubt, it is really important to look back and really see just how far you've come, because back then you thought it was hard. Now,
mm,
when you look back, you're like, wow, well, if I've come this far, what's another couple of weeks?
exactly. And just looking back through photos, like my physique had changed so much. And although it takes years to build such a great physique in this sport, I'd already thought I'd achieved that just by, following a structured routine and a structured meal plan, listening to you and listening
Yeah,
to myself as well. It's always crucial that you listen to yourself because obviously no one else knows you better than yourself.
100%.
So, yeah.
100%. And what helped you keep showing up? So, like, obviously when we started working together, and I feel like it could benefit a lot of people, because a lot of people, not everybody cup of tea, I guess, is group fitness side of things. Some people like to, see a coach once a week, but then implement things by themselves. What
Mm,
kept you showing up for yourself without anyone watching? Like that drive is something else, and it's not something that everybody has. It's something that people can develop and
yeah.
get better at. But what helped you keep showing up?
Um, oh,
Because I'm
that's a
sure there's
few.
many days where you probably like the alarm would go off and go, again, as I said, like, yes, your oldest kid might be, they're an adult themselves, but you still are a mum, you still have a job, you still are doing all
Yes.
these, juggling these hats. And I'm sure as shit, there'd be days where you're like, I don't want to. How did you get past
Mm.
that? Like, what advice would you give to somebody that's listening?
The best advice would be just keep showing up for yourself. I feel like for me, it was more my mental health as well as I was going through a separation. So the gym really saved me in more ways than one. And I don't know how other people would feel about that. But yeah, for me personally, it's all I had left. And it was all I ever really wanted to do was to just better myself, both physically and mentally, and just be the best version of me because Kylie today is definitely not same Kylie that was 20 something years ago. She's definitely something different.
Yeah, definitely. And I think that's something that's not spoken about enough, I feel, in a lot of people's journey, is the I guess impact that fitness can have on your mental health and your self-confidence and your belief in yourself that, that you can do it.
Yeah.
like doing those little things. So I feel like hearing that and other people hearing that about your journey as well, from, a mum of five to working to having all these other um commitments that everybody else has, but then deciding to, dedicate yourself to something, and obviously the mental changes that you had, like that it was the one thing that you could control.
Yeah. I think,
So
like, in the beginning, I thought I was a very selfish person for taking time out for myself. But then I remembered that, I had raised five incredible humans who are all beautiful in their own unique way, and that it wasn't selfish to take time out for myself. It actually made me a better person.
yeah, you know what? I'm so glad you brought that up, because that, for other mums that are listening, that sentence is so fucking powerful, because
Yeah.
I know so many people that are, feel guilty, or they will cancel because of something else, or they'll feel that they're putting themselves before others. Like, what advice would you say to them? Because we all have it. As a mum myself, it's like, like, you can't, when you're saying yes to something, you're saying no to something else. So how did you
Yeah.
get through that?
I guess, like, just having conversations with the two that are at home, and they're very, very supportive. I mean, they're not like little humans anymore. They're 12 and 16, but
Old enough to
I think,
understand. Yeah.
yes, and they know that I come home a better person, and they know how much it means to me, that it's more than just a hobby. It's now, it's like, hasn't consumed me, but it's, yeah, I
Part of
don't know
who
how
you
to put it
are.
into words.
Yeah.
Yes, yeah, I think I found my calling, like, later on in life. Like, I love being a mum first and foremost, because that will always be my full-time job. But this, yeah, this is something different. This is something
Yeah.
awesome.
No, I feel like, again, when people first start, like any fitness journey, right? Like, not just, your journey from, just being going to the gym to stepping on stage, but anyone's journey to want to better themselves, that aren't happy within their own skin, or feel that, they need something for themselves. I feel that that is so powerful to understand that, if your kids are old enough, is communicate with them, like, and, talk to them, and it isn't selfish.
Exactly.
Yeah,
Yeah.
so I feel like people that are listening, a lot will benefit from hearing that, because I know that that's something, as a coach, that I hear about a lot with a lot of mums that I train, that, or I had to cancel because I've got to take someone here, or do something, or whatever, and, always putting themselves last, which is, as you said, you're a mum first, but you are also important. So I feel like that,
Exactly.
yeah, I feel like that is really strong and powerful. So I guess the mindset during prep, like the mental strength that this takes, what did it teach you about discipline and resilience?
It definitely taught me lots about discipline. I actually thought on a few times that I would cave in and just, go and quickly binge on something and, be like a mad human.
Yeah.
But there's always the cravings. But I've definitely learned that discipline is a much needed tool and a very powerful tool to have, especially um, in this sport and mindset as well. Yeah.
Yeah. So when you first started, obviously you've developed more and more discipline as we've gone on over the years. Like, it's as you said at the beginning, like, it does get easier. But that hurdle that we crossed, where, it was either a fork in the road, you're either going to walk away and throw it all in, or keep going.
Mm,
And obviously we chose that path of keep going. Whereas a lot of people, I feel like, they veer onto that other fork, which then doesn't teach them discipline. Is
no.
that, like, that resilience that you've sort of learned, what advice would you give to others when they feel that they're at that fork, and they feel that they just, are failing, or, they can't do this, and, me, that there's no such thing as can't, but a lot of people feel that and believe that. Like, what
Mm,
advice would you give to them?
just don't give up. Just, yeah, definitely just take a step back and see how far you've come, see what you've achieved, and always knowing the end goal is far greater than giving up and just saying that I can't do this any longer.
Yeah.
Yeah, I definitely thought about that for days and days, and it did consume all my thoughts, but yeah, I wasn't going to let it take over. No way. No.
Yeah. So I guess, like, I feel like tapping on that, it's kind of like, feel your feels, sit
Yep.
in it, but don't act on it, because your feelings are only created from your thoughts. So, like, sit in it, but just don't give up. Keep going, even if
Yeah,
it feels impossible.
exactly. Just never ever consume that thought. Just, yeah. I don't know how else to explain it. I think I just ended up pushing it aside and just, going in the next day and training the best I'd ever trained for that whole block. I
Yeah.
feel like, yeah,
Channeling
absolutely.
that into training rather than channeling it into something that will set you back.
Yeah. And then thinking, why did I even think that? Like, I'm 6 weeks out. Like, it's just, but I feel like that's what it does. That was what depletion does, and hunger and everything else. It just sends you kind of like off track, and you think all these horrible things,
Yeah.
and yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah. Which, like, anyone that's trying to change anything in their lifestyle, right? It's uncomfortable. So of
Very
course,
uncomfortable.
of course you're gonna want to, go to that path that makes you feel comfortable. But I guess it sounds so cliche, and I hate saying these things in the podcast, but it's so true. It's like, growth happens outside that comfort, and a lot of people don't make it to that other side.
Yeah. And then you look back a week later and you think, oh God, I was so silly. I was just about to do all that stupid stuff. Yeah.
Yeah,
Exactly.
yeah.
Yeah.
And I guess
Yeah.
that builds the discipline, that builds the resilience, and then off you go again. It's not to say that it's not going to happen again. I guess it's just, learning that when it does come up, that it's not going to last unless you let it.
Exactly. 100%. Yeah.
Yeah. So I guess that brings me to, I guess now, I have the amazing honors of having you come on board and train to be a coach yourself to help others. And you have so much to offer within that environment, and just seeing you in the gym and just doing the hours that we have to do and stuff for your study, seeing how it lights you up, seeing others be able to challenge themselves. How did you know that was something that you wanted to do? Because it's complete career change from what you've done. How did you know that this is something that I want to do?
I guess like I just love helping people. I love people achieve their goals. Um, and also like the conversations that come with that. So not only do you get to coach someone and help them with their fitness journey, but you also get to make either a lifelong friend, and that obviously spills over into your personal world where sometimes you can open up to that person and just share things. But yeah, I feel like it's definitely what I should have really been doing in the long run. But yeah.
Yeah, I guess, I guess it's one of those things, right, where like the path will, like this path that you've been through and what it's taught you as a person, and what you've learned, becoming a coach, that anything's possible for anybody. So being able to help them achieve it on their journey is super satisfying.
Yes, yeah, very much. And definitely very, very different to what I do now, which I am a manager at Big W, so a completely different flip. But yeah,
Yeah.
still, helping people and, being in a team environment, and yeah,
Yeah.
I think it's
And
I think it's really good.
what's why is it so important for you, like when you feel like when you wanted to become a coach, like because a lot of people again doubt themselves, both you and I both doubt ourselves, like we're not robots, we're not superhuman. We just, again, like we spoke about previously in the podcast, those different tips and tools that you get better at the more you use. And I like to use the analogy of, like, if I told someone to build a house but didn't give them any tools to do it, they're not going to be successful. But, over time, you give yourself the tools and you're able to build that house. So
Yeah.
I guess when, like it's only going to be a couple of months and you're going to be having your own clients, and which is really, really exciting. I guess one of the most things that excites you about coaching people through their journey?
Uh, just seeing people achieve their goals, really. At the end of the day, um, it would just, yeah, it'd be the goal factor for sure. Just
Yeah.
seeing people change their mindset. Um, yeah, just see them achieve the things that make them happy. And I feel like that's all I ever want for that person, is for them to be the best version of themselves and just to be happy. And
Yeah.
yeah,
And would you say to, I guess, along your journey, would you say like the physical side, if we were to look at it from like a simple point of view, the physical side of training your body is easy, but the mindset is really where it's at? Would you agree with that?
yes, definitely. Yeah.
Yeah.
If your mindset's not in it, I feel like you're not going to achieve what you are setting out to achieve.
Yeah.
So for me, my mindset had to change a lot. Um, yeah,
Yeah, because I feel
definitely.
like, again, like, obviously I'm so honored to have you as part of one of the coaches at AMPT, because I feel that what you have to offer as a coach is not just, I feel like telling people how to lift and how to move is the easy part, but you have so much to offer in helping that person with their mindset. So in terms of, if that mindset doesn't change, and different things that have helped you to help them as well. So
Yeah,
and
yeah,
how, like as you said, how your mindset just had to change. So and
yeah.
there's probably a lot of women that are listening who feel like it's too late to start, or they've missed their chance. And I know we touched on that just a couple minutes ago. What would you say to someone who's thinking about starting their fitness journey, or wants to do like any sort of competition in fitness? Because there's so much, from stepping on stage to powerlifting to endurance events to so many different avenues, but all with the same sort of discipline and resilience that they need to get there. What would you say to women that are listening that feel like it's too late to start, or they go, oh, that's too hard, or they've missed their chance? What advice would you give to them?
It's never, ever too late. I'm in my 40s and I honestly did not see this ever happening, like the whole step on stage, the whole getting a coach, even to the personal training. Like, I never in my wildest dreams did I ever think I would ever step on stage or be as consistent in the gym as what I have been. So for me, I would just, no, don't. It's never ever too late. You're crazy if you think it's too late. It's no, it's
Yeah.
definitely not. Yeah,
Yeah, because I feel like that's a lot of people. They're like, oh, it's too late, or I should have done that years ago. And I feel like that's really powerful to, like, it's easier to say that, but I guess, if they've listened to the whole episode up until this point, is that, yes, it's not easy. Yes, there's doubt, but you build resilience over
exactly.
time.
Yeah, yeah,
So
exactly.
I guess, where do you see your journey going from here? So I know that we have another comp in next month. We're only a couple of weeks out, but where do you see your journey going from here, like in years to come?
Oh, that's a good one. Probably one that we've never really discussed
No,
either. So, um,
no.
uh, I definitely want to keep competing because the fire is just out of control. I literally want to, yeah, try everything and anything. Nothing's off limits. Absolutely nothing's off limits.
Yeah.
I've got to have a shoulder reconstruction in October. You already know about that. And then they're telling me to have time off. I'm definitely going to have a smidge time off, and I really, really, really want to do season B 27.
Yeah,
I'm going
yeah.
to throw
So
that one in there.
I'm kind of glad you mentioned the shoulder reconstruction, because that's a whole nother thing that we can, touch on a few questions that I feel like would help a lot of people. Is a lot of people would take that as a setback, and, they would, crash and burn and be like, I've come this far and now I've got to get surgery. Now I'm going to start all over again. How are you dealing with that mentally?
Oh, pretty good. I just move on from the situation. So I've
Yeah.
had like 3 shoulder dislocations very, very close together in the last, I don't know, 6 months. So yeah, I have to have a shoulder reconstruction, in which they wanted to operate on me at the start of this year, and I said absolutely not. I'm competing. We'll do that later on in the year.
Yeah.
So yeah, I shut that down very quickly.
Yeah, because a lot of people,
Um,
I feel like, when they get one little injury or one little hurdle, it tends to steer that person completely, like that fork of the road that we spoke about, and it takes them
yeah.
down that avenue, and it's like, even hearing the way and the tone that you talk about it, like, yep, I've got to have that, and continue on. Like,
Hmm.
I feel like there's advice like that didn't just happen overnight. Like, how do you see that as such a positive? You're like, okay, well, this is happening, but this is what I'm still going to be doing, rather than let it shut you down. Because I feel like, as a coach, even over the 15 years of experience, trying to coach people through that, I still often find challenging, because they see no way out. They're like, oh, well, that's the end.
Yeah,
So
no,
how,
definitely not. No,
yeah. So how,
absolutely not. I was in the gym the next day after I dislocated after the first dislocation. I was in the gym the next day doing cardio, and I reset myself back to, just the lighter weight standards. So I guess for me, I kind of knew what to do. Um, but there was no way I was ever going to let it get in the way of comp. There was no way. And I made that very, very clear to both probably yourself, but not on,
yeah,
and also the surgeon. So the surgeon knew exactly how I felt and how passionate I was, and that this just wasn't something that was, like a silly fad, or
yeah.
something that I'd just thrown myself into. It was actually, my lifestyle. So I wasn't going to let the shoulder ruin all my hard work. There was just no way.
Yeah, see, that's so, like, that there, like, just hearing the end of that sentence is, I feel like a lot of people that go, have a little injury or a little setback, let it just spiral them back to the beginning, rather than going, this might be happening, but my whole body isn't broken. So
Exactly.
learning to move on from that. So I feel like that's really good too for people to hear that are listening, is that, even at the level that you're at, doesn't mean that these things don't happen. It's just in all how you deal with it.
Exactly. Yeah. 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 And I mean, I just, I don't know, I just learnt to get past it, and there was just no way it was going to ruin anything. I just had that mindset that I was okay. So I'm in the hospital today, but I know tomorrow I'm going to be back in the gym, working on things that I can control, and within reason, because obviously a shoulder dislocation isn't
Yeah.
something taken lightly. Um, but yeah, you
Yeah.
just the mentality there was there. It was, yeah, at an all-time high.
Yeah, and I feel like that is so powerful and inspiring, because, again, like, I know that I would be very similar, but I feel like a lot of people look at people at our level and go, oh, well, it's just easy for you. And I feel like hearing you say that is that, within reason, you can still turn up and you can still do things. And I love that you just said, like, that are within your control. Like, you
Yes.
might, like, have a boot on, but that doesn't mean that you can't still turn up and do something with your arms, or you can still control the outcome. You don't have to sit in, like, the sit pit, I call it, and wallow in self-pity, which I feel is, a big mindset. And that's everything that we've spoken about, a big mindset shift in terms of people that, cross that line and end up, disciplined in a sport, and people that don't.
Yeah. 100%. Yep.
Yeah. And
I agree. Yep.
is there anything else that you would like to share with anybody that is listening? Because I feel like we've covered most of the things that, I feel that others could benefit from, that, it it hasn't always been easy, because I feel like that's the biggest takeaway, is that, at the end of the day, you are very successful, and, but that didn't mean or take away from the discipline you had to learn, the consistency that we had to do, the moments of doubt. Like, you're not a robot, and I feel like these podcast episodes really allow people to hear that and go, oh, so it was hard for her too. I'm not the only one that finds it hard. Just the difference in obviously succeeding. Is there anything else that you would like to share to anybody that's thinking about, even just becoming consistent with the gym or becoming a happier, healthier version of them? Is there any advice that you would like to share?
I would just say, just do it. You're not being selfish. I mean, I had to learn that very quickly. You're definitely not being selfish. Always fill your own cup first, because if you don't fill your own cup, you're never ever going to fill everyone else's. And I learnt that as well. That was a very big lesson I had to learn.
Yeah.
And you always have to be happy with yourself. If you're not happy, then everyone around you is not going to be happy, because it's going to rub off. Yeah.
Yeah. So I guess, doing that mindset work and that self-development of who you really are and all of those sorts of things is really crucial to the fitness journey as well.
Absolutely. Yeah. Without
Yeah.
those, I definitely wouldn't be where I am today.
Yeah. No.
100%. And I definitely wouldn't be where I am today without an incredible coach, which is, of course, yourself.
Well,
So
thank you for that. I've
it's
guided
definitely
you,
a
but
team. It's definitely a teamwork. Yeah,
yes, yeah.
it's
I've
been great.
always said that, and I think I've done a couple of podcast episodes on that, is that, as a coach, we can guide you, we can give you the tools, but if you don't use
Yep.
them, well, at the end of the day, you're never going to get anywhere. So it's definitely a two-way street. So, but you have done all the hard work. I've just given you the tools, and you've built an incredible physique from it. So, all in all, I really, really, again, just to wrap up today's episode, I'm really yeah, I'm grateful, I guess, that, one, you're coming on as a coach for AMBT. You have so much to offer and to give to other people. So I'm so excited to see where that journey goes. But your story is such a reminder that it's never too late to start something for yourself. And being a mum doesn't need to stop you from chasing your goals. If anything, it shows your kids what strength and courage actually looks like. So, yeah, really appreciate your time today. So thank you for sharing.
No, thank you for having me. I appreciate that more than anything. It's been good.
So that's a wrap of today's episode of Real Talk Fitness with AMPT. If there was anything that you took away from mine and Kylie's conversation of where she started and where she is today, is that anything is possible and it's never too late. And that any situation that's thrown your way, it's all in the mindset of how you look at it. The other part that I feel like is really important from today's conversation is that looking at your mindset of how you look at things and being happy with who you are is really important to your success, to your journey of why you want something. And that isn't to do with anybody else but you. And that has to start within you. And to all the mums out there that are listening to today's podcast, is Kylie, being a mum of 5 herself, yes, her kids, her two youngest are 16 and 12. That still doesn't take away from this journey and being in and out of the gym, for the last 12 years, is that how important that is for your mental health and to be a better person for everybody in your life. Again, thank you for listening. I really appreciate it. So if this episode you feel someone that you care about might benefit from, please subscribe and share, because the more people that listen, the more lives that we can help change. And until the next episode, guys, keep it real.